The film opens with a young man named Vincent who is picking up a woman named Betty. She has just come home from a rehabilitation center because she was previously a drug addict. And Betty is required to undergo rehabilitation to become a better person. Betty is very happy, because after being there for so long she can finally be back with the only person with her. In the end, Vincent takes Betty to their old house which has not been occupied for a long time. Even so, the house is still often visited by Vincent, and he still takes good care of it. There they chat, and Vincent asks about Betty's old boyfriend. Betty says that they have been separated for a long time, because they feel uncomfortable and their relationship is not healthy. Since Betty was left by her husband, she has changed a lot and hangs out with the wrong people more often. That's why she was able to be rehabilitated. But now she wants to rebuild what was lost. Even though it's only with Vincent, Betty is already happy. Betty wants Vincent to be able to continue being with her, even though she knows that Vincent has a job and he already has a girlfriend. Betty kept pushing Vincent to follow her request. She even said things that were not true about Vincent's relationship. Of course, Vincent was annoyed by Betty's words. The next day, Betty invited Vincent to go out. They went to the beach and enjoyed the day together. Betty was really happy. Something that had been missing for a long time seemed to come back to her. Betty said that they should continue like this. Vincent actually wanted to, but what could he do? He had a job to achieve his future. Moreover, Vincent already had a girlfriend and he loved her very much. A few days later, Betty invited Vincent's girlfriend to her house. Her name was Ginny. Actually, Betty wanted to get to know Vincent's girlfriend better, but it turned out that Betty didn't seem to like Ginny because her appearance was too childish. Betty even said things that were not true about Ginny and Vincent's relationship. Of course, Ginny was uncomfortable with Betty's words. That evening, while eating together, Vincent tried to reprimand Betty and asked her not to interfere too much with his relationship with his girlfriend. But Betty has her own reasons for what she did. For her, Vincent is still her responsibility, and Vincent is part of her family, and no one should separate them. But Vincent doesn't like Betty's actions which have gone too far. A fight happened. Vincent even spoke rudely to Betty. As a result, Betty also got emotional and showed the injection marks in her past. There, Betty even showed the wound to Vincent's face, which made Vincent emotional and instead forced Betty to make out from behind. After finishing, Vincent immediately left Betty. But strangely, Betty wanted more, and in the morning when Vincent was still sleeping, Betty went into Vincent's room and immediately asked Vincent to repeat last night's incident. Vincent couldn't do much, and he just kept quiet, and Betty showed her best skills. But in the end, Vincent still left there. For him, this should not have happened. Vincent wanted to return to his old life, with his job and also his lover. Meanwhile, Betty still hopes Vincent will stay there with her. But Vincent's decision is final. Betty can only cry and mourn her fate because she has to live alone. That was the storyline of this film. Hopefully you like it, and see you again in our next film storyline.